Hello, listeners, and welcome back to the Dear Forest podcast. On today's episode, I will be having a conversation with Sharifa Jamaldin, who is the country coordinator for Fashion Revolution Belgium. So basically, what we spoke about was how our clothes impact our forests, and Sharifa and I met in a very interesting way. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. Okay, hello and welcome to the Dear Forest podcast. Can you tell us your name, where you work, and what you do for work?
Hi, it's great to be here. My name is Sharifa Jamaldin, and I'm country coordinator of Fashion Revolution Belgium. And I work for a global movement focused on raising awareness about the social and environmental issues within the fashion industry. It's kind of like WWF for fashion. So we try to reduce exploitation and pollution in the fashion industry.
Okay, it's really great work that you're doing. Thank you so much. So let's jump into it. People tend to generally know that fashion is, quote, bad for the environment, but we quite obviously need clothes, and people have worn clothes for centuries. So how has it all of a sudden become a bad thing?
Great question. Fashion itself is not inherently bad. We love clothes, we love fashion, so it's something that is part of our self-expression and also a fundamental need. It's how we produce it, consume it, and dispose of clothes that's the problem. Over the last few decades, fashion has become faster, ultra fast, and more mass-produced. Overproduction is a huge issue. And now we're buying clothes really cheap and disposing of them. So that's really a big factor. And it's not just fast fashion. Everyone talks about fast fashion. It's also luxury brands. So I sometimes call it fast luxury. So not only fast fashion, but fast luxury is an issue of overproduction and overconsumption. Another element that's really important is the marketing machine behind all those fast and luxury fashion is a huge part of the problem. So these marketing machines are beautiful. They sell your clothes. You feel like you have to buy something, a new trend every moment. They're pushing trends after trends and at a speed that you can't keep up. So it's really wasteful of our resources, and it really impacts the forest. It impacts all the wonderful creatures that live in the forest as well. And we have to really rethink consumption. So there's also a lack of transparency with the brands, and we don't know how much they're producing, why they're producing so much. And there's a lot of numbers that are terrible to realize, but basically it's the production of clothing by these big brands and big organizations, on a mass level. We don't know anything of how they're doing it, so there's no transparency. So that's one of the works that we do at Fashion Revolution is we really dig into the numbers behind, and we have reports that you can see on our website as well.
So I'll definitely leave a link to those reports in the show notes. So maybe some background knowledge for the listeners. Sharifa and I actually met at a laundromat near where we both live, kind of a middle ground, and we were doing our laundry, and then we were just like sitting there waiting, and the two of us and another person,
Pablo.
We were just like having a conversation about fashion. And then at the time I was doing my internship at a fashion company in supply chain sustainability. So that was interesting. It's a big fashion company, so it was very interesting. And then she mentioned that she works at Fashion Revolution, and then Pablo also was a fashion student at the Antwerp
Fashion Academy. Actually, he wanted to get in, but he was actually interning at Walter van Beerdonk.
Yes, true. So we just ended up spending like an hour or two.
It was a very interesting conversation.
Just having a conversation about like all of it and what we think of it. And so I have stayed in the fashion industry, and I'm at another fashion brand now. So I do struggle with it quite a lot, actually, just because working for a fashion company doesn't align with my personal values per se. But it pays the bills. I think that's the other reality, like the other side of it is like when I do have conversations with people in a similar position to me, like the conversation we're having is like, okay, the dream job would not be to have a job that like harms the environment, you know? And it's not to say that like there isn't some kind of conversation about sustainability in fashion companies, because my internship was in sustainability. But I think the problem at its root is indeed the consumption, right? So if you're working for a company that is promoting the consumption and simultaneously swearing that they're doing something about the sustainability aspect, it kind of, I struggle with it. I really do internally struggle with it. So it was a really interesting conversation to speak to the two of you and get your perspective on it.
Yeah, it was a very lovely conversation and different angles, and we were all sharing this. We're sharing the same values and understanding that we're really making a big impact on the environment through our choices. And also the different issues that everyone faces was quite interesting. Like, for me, it's like, how do you get the information across and then have people really implement solutions when they either can't because of cost or because they can't because of the way the system is set up. So it's certainly, there's so many different issues. One of the things that has come up lately is how do we identify all the different issues in fashion? We call it a wicked problem. So when you call something a wicked problem, it means it's so complex to fix that you need different solutions. So for us at Fashion Revolution, we are looking at different types of solution across the whole supply chain. So so there's the consumer and how they make their choices, and then there's also the brands who design the clothing in a certain way, and then you also have government involvement and how laws can help change the system. So we're really working towards system change, and it's very complex, as we had in that conversation. I'm so glad I met you there.
Yeah, it was really a chance encounter. Like, what are the odds that it happens that way, you know? Exactly. And then, we spoke a little bit about one day a podcast episode, and then here we are today.
I know, I love it.
So, we were talking about it a little bit earlier as well, that like full circle moment, which is quite nice. Then how do we distinguish fast fashion from slow or normal fashion? Like, how can we tell the difference?
It's very simple, actually. When fast fashion is something that that is produced very, very quickly, and the quality of usually the quality is less, and it's produced very fast, and you go to these specific shops that sell them en masse. Slow fashion, on the other hand, is about quality and choosing something that will last for a long time, and you keep it in your closet. And you can even share it to the next person. So there's a real distinction. Fast fashion is also follows the cycle of the fashion shows and fashion weeks.
Which is like year on year, month on month, or
month on month. And then with fast fashion, they're doing it at weekly, new trends, new productions. So working towards slow fashion. It's not only slow fashion in the sense of one piece that's really expensive. It could also be something that there's new ways. There's renting, you can borrow, you can share clothes. So there's new different models that are coming up that have to be popularized by everyone. So I don't know if everyone likes to share clothes, but it's a way to help with the climate emergency.
That's true, but like, even if I think about myself in high school, my friends and I shared a lot of clothes. Like, it was always, oh, that's cute, like I want to wear that, but it's not necessarily something that I would want in my own wardrobe to wear continuously. But like, they would see you wearing that and be like, oh, that's cute, I want to borrow that like someday. So it was really like a nice little exchange thing. In general, definitely the borrow thing is something that I resonate with.
Also, one more thing, I just thought of it now, is there's a lot of information that we have. So a quick one is the capsule wardrobe, which means you should have 75 pieces only at any given time or less. And that gives you a number of how many, what slow means. It's 75 items for a four seasons.
All the 4 seasons. Okay.
Yeah, so 75 for all 4 seasons, including your winter coat or your your swimsuit.
I've never actually counted my clothing. I will admit, I am definitely guilty of, because I've been a student for like the past 3 years, so limited space. So if I don't have any more room, I pack things up in suitcases, and if I feel like I don't wear them and I feel so much guilt, like just like, you know, putting them into like the second hand cycle. We'll talk a little bit about that, because in theory it sounds great, but once you do a little bit of research, it's a little more complicated. But then I pack it up in suitcases and I go home like once a year, and I just go with one suitcase full of stuff that I'm just gonna leave at home, because I can't stand to like let it go. And my mom every single time sees me walking out with 2 massive suitcases, and mind you, it's like summer when I go normally, so it'll be winter here and summer over there, and she's like, what have you put in these bags? I'm like, Mom, I'm leaving one bag here. But yeah, just, and also on the low quality, can you maybe go into what makes an item low quality? Because there's also, I think, a link there to oil as well. So.
Yeah, of course. Linked back all the way to the Industrial Revolution, and also during the World War, in the World Wars, there was synthetic was invented. So synthetic materials made from fossil fuels, are polyesters, are very easy to produce, and also sadly they don't disintegrate very quickly. So because they're easy to produce very quickly, and doesn't cost very much for the companies, who of course they want to make money and profit from their companies. So they use these materials, and these materials are variety of reasons, from the polyester, as you know, plastic pollution, microplastics. So that's one way you can quickly tell if it's fast fashion, I guess. But fast fashion can also be made from cotton and different materials, so it's not necessarily directly linked to material. But what's really important is recognizing when something is being sold to you at a very cheap cost. That means
what is cheap? Can you define kind of what, because I think we've become accustomed to, I don't know, a t-shirt costs like €5, depending on what kind of t-shirt it is and where you're buying it, right? So what is cheap? What is like kind of what people should be paying for something as simple as a t-shirt? I think we can start there.
Yeah, that's true. The cost of things is one way of recognizing whether something is fast fashion or not, but that's not always the case, unfortunately. A very easy way to recognize it, some people use that factor, is that something costs 2 to 10 euros for a t-shirt. Normally that means it's being produced at scale, and that means somehow it's mass produced, it's overproduced, there's a lot of deforestation that happens. So because if, for example, a cotton t-shirt, you have land use. So in order to grow cotton at scale, normally the forest is cut down. So when you're getting prices that low, that means that there's big scale in business. So that's a real indicator. So when you get really low prices, that means that it's produced at scale, which means the destruction is at scale.
Okay.
If you buy something that is locally produced, let's say within where you're living in Belgium, and from a farm in Belgium, you should buy probably linen from Belgium, because it's locally produced. So then if you go to a shop that is produced locally, then you buy, it'll cost more, like 20, 25, 30 euros for a t-shirt. Then, or it might be produced in Europe. The cotton is from Europe, or the linen is from Europe, or the bamboo is actually more important. Then you know that it's not at scale, and it's not destroying.
Okay.
So that's one way. The other indicator is these big companies, that's what they do. They produce at scale, and those are the known brands on high streets in the world. So it's not as simple as saying this price or that price, because sometimes they overprice through marketing.
True, also true.
So it might cost them maybe 10 euros, and they charge 50 euros, and they put a specific brand or a specific name on it.
Okay, yeah, I think that's good context for the listeners. So
Yeah, there's a bit of education, and one of my ways to do it is at this current stage of climate emergency.
mm-hmm.
I would say, I would say, do not shop for anything new. Look at what's in your closet,
Mm-hmm.
and then wait until the emergency is over.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. And it's actually quite fun because I've done it.
Yeah.
So it's actually very easy and
mm-hmm.
exciting to look at what's in your closet and then not buy anything for a while, and then you'll spend your money elsewhere. It's really fun.
Or save it.
Save it. Yeah.
Or save it. So.
Yeah. So I think the first step is to actually just to stop shopping and then just see what you have.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Guilty as charged. See what you have is definitely a good strategy.
Yeah, the rule of thumb is buy 5 or less items a year.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can keep that as an easy rule.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's a challenge to all of you listeners to, starting now. It's still early in the year. 7th of March is, still at the beginning of the year. So you've got 10 months to, fulfill it. If you've already bought something, your limit is now. So... yeah, so just on that, like, now that we understand a bit how fast fashion negatively impacts the environment as a whole, can you maybe delve into how that would translate to deforestation?
Sure. Fashion is a major driver of deforestation,
mm-hmm.
and it's less known generally in conversation, but the production of cotton and leather and viscose are linked to deforestation.
Okay.
So that's cows.
What is viscose maybe? Because I think that's the one that maybe I'm a bit like fuzzy.
Yeah. So we have like for viscose, we have wood. So that's really directly linked to. So viscose is made from wood pulp.
Okay.
And each year 200 million trees are cut down and they're transformed to make textiles. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of trees, 200 million trees. And then they're logged and processed and processed with chemicals. And then you make cellulose fabrics like viscose. Okay. So viscose is one made from wood pulp. Rayon is one that's made from wood pulp. Lyocell, modal, and cupro. I've never heard of cupro. That just came up in my research for this, more detailed research. But the viscose and rayon is what is mostly known as the one that everyone talks about with wood pulp. Okay. But the rest is you have cotton and leather, and then the leather is formed with the raising of cows, which is also a huge element. Mm-hmm. So if you're buying leather, you're linking it with any sort of where cattle grazes, and where cattle is, it takes lots and lots of land, and they cut hundreds of trees and areas to grow.
For pasture land. For pasture
land, exactly. And then and cotton is more known, of course.
Yeah, because again, the clearing of entire forest to grow
that's
cotton shrubs. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's a direct link. So with deforestation, so those three elements, the viscose or cellulose, wood, as well as the cow, and then cotton. Those three are huge. But there's more elements, but this is just a clearer way to think about it.
Okay, so I think now we understand a little bit about how at the creation stage, clothes have an impact on deforestation. But what about when they are in use and at the end of their life?
Yeah, so there's different elements. There's the creation process, the making the fabric. And then we have the in use, as you're asking about, and the end of life. So that's when you're using it. So you have to wash it. So in the washing cell element, we have the issue of microplastics and synthetic fibers. So there's a problem with that, with harming of marine life. So when you wash your clothes, microplastics are released. And so that's a huge issue.
Our water sources, and then those maybe aren't filtered out enough before it's all released back into the ocean. Because I think most people don't know that your wastewater is treated to some extent and then released back into the ocean, if you have access to an ocean. Otherwise, it'll maybe look different in landlocked countries. But
Exactly. And the other element, perfectly said, the other element is that sometimes all the information is out there in infographics and people are talking about them and microplastics, but maybe not everyone gets that information.
True.
But anyway, it's true. In washing clothes is another element that impacts our environment, our forests, our oceans, our water. It also includes dyes, toxic materials.
Yeah.
So I always say use natural materials if you can. Actually, really, people who are really invested in this topic, some people wash their clothes a lot less than normal.
Okay.
So if spot cleaning, for example.
Oh yeah, true. Spot cleaning. So if there's like a little stain, rather wipe it down than like wash the whole thing if it's like mostly clean.
Yeah.
Instead of washing the entire item.
Yeah, exactly. Like the laundromat story, like they should have like spot cleaning. That's a new invention that we need.
I don't think they're gonna do that because it would mess a bit with their business model.
No, but it's a new business model, and that's what's exciting about the future. And for anyone listening who's interested in saving the world or making the world better or system change, we need new inventions, new concepts. So a laundromat could have spot cleaning as part of it. So we need someone who designs a spot cleaner that's environmental. So there's a lot of new ideas in system change.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
And then end of life, when the recycling of items is the last part of your question, and that is everyone I think knows this one much more, is that clothes are disposed of, thrown away needlessly. So, and there's no mechanism for recycling that's really working.
Yeah, that's been effective. Yeah, so I think there's now a EU regulation coming in about most of your favorite fashion brands are incinerating the clothes that they do not sell, or the clothes that they promise you that they're going to do something with, and the something is incinerating them. But now they have to report, or soon there will be a law that makes them have to report like what they incinerate. And the reason why they burn some of the clothes is because it'll lower your perception, like especially if it's a luxury brand, it'll lower your perception as a consumer if the discount goes too low. So if like after the sale season there's an item that's just not selling, even though it's discounted to like its lowest price, let's say, for this company, then they're probably going to burn it. Like they're not going to donate it or anything. Some of them do donate certain ones that they feel like they can donate, because it also depends on like what kind of item it is, how much the retail value is, how would people that bought it at full price feel if they, saw it just being donated. So there's a lot of other things that they consider when they like say, okay, this is going to be recycled, this is going to be incinerated, this is like, but the hope is that they stop incinerating them, and also that they stop exporting it, because that's another thing that happens a lot in Europe, is like out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, it's definitely layers. So it's a complex, wicked problem with issues from microplastics to toxic waste in waters, to not being able to, just wasteful sort of culture. We just throw things away without thinking. Every material that we use is important. Just the forest itself also is a natural regenerative system. So humans should also think about things and how we can regenerate and reuse, and not waste things just for fashion or just for the next trend.
Yeah, exactly. I think clothes are very resource intensive, like just in general, so I think indeed, just like the manner in which we discard something that took lots of resources, not just natural resources, but like human resources as well, because every item is like there's a person making that item. We haven't gotten to the point where there's just robots like doing all the sewing all the time. So that's another thing. So definitely something to think about in terms of when you just chuck something out, because doesn't fit anymore with the style or the fashion right now. So so
in terms of fashion, there is a joy in fashion, so that's why people so there's no discounting that the beauty of fashion or dressing or self-expression.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've discovered as someone who is not shopping at the moment for anything, it's actually, there's different ways of self-expression. You'll start finding it in different ways, I promise. There's a lot of exciting, very exciting things.
Yes, accessorize.
Even then, you could do things like make your own clothes, or you could also
make your own
DIY.
jewelry.
If you do that, the minute you start making it yourself, it's a really joyful thing. And you can also do things like wear the same clothes all the time, but maybe you do your hair differently.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can wear, like I am starting to use henna as a way to express myself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's different sort of things that are immaterial ways of expressing yourself.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think, to quote Mean Girls, the only thing worse than an outfit repeater is an outfit rememberer. So nobody's gonna remember what you wore 2 weeks ago. Just put your clothes back on. It's fine.
And I actually like repeaters because I'm a repeater. Seriously, if you look at my Instagram and you look at my pictures, you'll see that I'm wearing the same clothes. Like, seriously, you'll see it. You'll be surprised that you actually...
Yeah, but it means you love your clothes. I think that's another thing. If you see somebody that's always wearing different things, it's like, why are you buying things you don't like to the point where you wear it once and then never again? Like, because that also... There's a little bit of something that doesn't make sense either in that, you know?
I have to say that I'm getting to a point where I want something now. So I'm thinking about it. So I'm really interested in craft and like embroidery and technique and cultural design.
Yeah.
So I'm really want to get like different types of from my own culture. So I have like 5 cultures. So I'm thinking of like dressing with my own culture and like having something that's really beautiful and handmade and that has, it's really precious. So what I do wear is really special other than the same old thing. I actually, when you stop shopping, make sure you stop shopping at the right time.
Pick the right moment to do it. Make
your
sure you've
closet
got everything.
look good. And then stop shopping.
And then stop.
That's a high recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting right now with a low buy year. So it's like more related to saving money than anything else, if I'm being honest with myself. So I've allowed myself 1 piece of clothing per quarter, and it has to be from a secondhand store. So
great.
Yeah, so that's like a small way that I'm starting, because in the beginning I was like, I won't buy a single new item this whole year. Then I was like, how realistic is that, and how guilty am I going to feel when I end up breaking, and then it's just going to throw the whole year off, you know? But
the good news is the Hot and Cold Institute did a report, and the capsule wardrobe is 75, and you can buy up to 5 per year. So if you keep it less than that, and then if it's overall, if everyone does that globally, then we will reach the 1.5 degree lifestyle.
Oh, okay.
So it's really hopeful, but everyone has to do it.
Yeah, everybody has to feel the need to like kind of feel motivated to do it.
Yeah, and make those 5 pieces really count and make them beautiful and buy
and
local.
Make them things that you really love, you know?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Now when I did find my item in a secondhand store, I was like, is this something that I'm going to be happy that I did my one item with at the end of March? So it was like mid-February when I got it, and I was like, yes, like this is the item that I'm going to say, yes, for these 3 months, this is my happy item. Like, this is all that I'm getting. So it's been really helpful, because now I also look at it and I'm so proud of myself, because I'm like, I'm so happy with this thing that I've gotten, and I will cherish it more because it's the only thing that I can, have for the next 3 months. So for people who aren't ready to cold plunge,
exactly,
you can start like with something a little smaller.
Yes, I would say, and I don't think a lot of people are just shopping randomly. I'm sure there's a lot of people shop because they need to buy something. Maybe there's a certain percentage that are addicted to shopping and buying things new. But there is just being thoughtful about it, I think, is a new way of thinking, and just slowly figuring it out. What is it for me that is interesting and lovely, but also helps the forest? And it's actually quite fun to choose these kind of, make wonderful choices for yourself, rather than being marketed to by profiteers.
Indeed. And the next question actually is going to be about consumers and consumer behavior and the psychological drivers behind the consumer behavior. So can we maybe get into that a little bit? Like what is driving the consumer? Like why, if they have all this information, do they ignore it and continue on, you know?
Many things. Part of it is most young people is peer pressure or appearing,
belonging,
part of the group. Is a big factor. And then it's also quite fun just to go shopping. I remember going shopping when I was younger, or even I love secondhand shopping when I was into it. It's just finding something delightful and beautiful. Beauty in the search of something is really fun. It's a fun thing to do. So peer pressure is a big, big psychological factor that most people don't even think about.
Yeah.
And then the marketing is a huge factor. It's huge. So when you're watching programs, films, you're influenced by what you see and you want to be part of that, what society is doing. So just trends. So it's part of how we exist. But I always found it very interesting, the people that I admire over time are those who are really individualistic and they're passionate about their own life and what they do rather than what they wear. And they all have a kind of a special style that they kind of created themselves. I've always admired that, definitely. Even though I'm a total fashion lover, fashion magazine lover, when I was hanging out with people, it was always the ones that just DIY, did it themselves, put it together.
Yeah,
and you were like,
I have
what's
a friend
this?
like that. I have a
cool.
friend that's very like into stuff like that. She's also the friend that like packed up all of her stuff into like one hiking size bag because she wanted to go backpacking for a couple of months. She'd saved up all through uni to go backpacking, and so she had to like give away most of her clothes, and she had I think 15 items or something in her bag. So shout out to Liz. Indeed, like those are the most unique people because she's the most free-spirited person that I think I know.
We have to make it cool. I mean,
it is cool.
She's
really cool.
You have to make it cool not to follow trends.
Yes, agreed. I think the trend thing is, I think it's even harder now because of social media, right? Because before it used to be that you're only looking at the trends in your immediate environment, and now you can follow trends that are global trending, and then also maybe on a country level, and then on a region level, and like it's really it's a whole lot of like bombardment, a lot of information, like the marketing on one hand, and then on the other end, because also the marketing is now taking from like the trends, like what's influencing the culture in that area, they're going to co-opt that and then sell you something because it's a trend right now, you know? So there's a symbiotic relationship between the marketing and the trends as well. So it's, So just on that, how are you, and by extension your organization, so Fashion Revolution, working to fight back against all of this?
At Fashion Revolution itself, we are educating consumers and on these topics. So on a big part is human rights, worker rights, but on another part, which is very important, is climate, planet. So we're always trying to bring that up depending on different campaigns. So for educating consumers, we encourage them to be aware of what they're buying, being aware of the different materials, and also being very conscious of that it's resource intensive in different ways. So we try to make it fun. So the campaign that we use is hashtag what's in my clothes. So it just makes you think about it. What's in my clothes? Yeah. So being aware of what is it in it, what's the fiber, what's the material. So just by understanding that, answering that question, maybe it helps. So we bring that to the forefront.
So just on the what's in my clothes, like you need to check the label on your clothes. So not the label at the neck, but at the bottom of your item, there's going to be a little side label that comes out the side, and that'll tell you like the composition of the item. So a little game that I played with some of the other WWF youth team members was we walked into like one of the stores that we found, and we would look at an item and guess how much polyester we thought was in there, and and then check the label to see how much there was. But it's really interesting because like then we'd like feel the material and then kind of look at it and like see like, is it like generic or is it made to last, like, you know? So that's like kind of some way that you can make it interesting for yourself. Like look at something and be like, I would bet that's like 50% polyester and like 20% some other form of polyester, because polyester has different names as well. Same compound but different names. So yeah, just something.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
Very good game. The other thing is that you're making me think about is if you can buy 100%, then it's easier to recycle it. But if it's mixed with different materials, then it's difficult to recycle.
Oh, okay.
So there's big, really exciting new innovation in recycling, but they're asking the designers to make one material rather than many materials. So if it's 90% this and 10% that, it's difficult to break it apart.
Yeah, to split it up into
So if you are going to make a purchase at a big global brand, make sure you get that one, at least do 100%
of what
you know. If you're gonna do it, do 100%. And natural is better.
Natural is better, and 100%. Okay.
Yeah. That's the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So the best spectrum is zero shopping.
Yes.
Use what's in your closet, swap, repair, and that's the best way. But if you're going to buy your 5 items, make sure it's 100% natural material. At least then you know it's compostable.
Yeah. Or it can be turned into something
or
else.
It can be upcycled or recycled.
Yeah. Okay. And what is upcycling? And yeah, what's the difference between upcycling, recycling, and downcycling? I think that's maybe something interesting because you just
I might not get all the answers. I might have to. You might please Google this. Please, do not use ChatGPT now because it takes up too much water and energy.
But just like a short, like just really for somebody that like has no idea, upcycling is downcycling.
Yeah, recycling is generally thought of as taking something and then reusing it. So you're not changing anything to it. Upcycling is when you take something and then you change something about it into something new or reinvent. It's a reinvention. And then downcycling, I don't know that one for some reason.
Downcycling is when you, like, say for instance, take a piece of clothing and then because it's, say for instance, mixed or something, then you can't make the same quality item. So then it will have to be like, if you can take a t-shirt and then you can't make another t-shirt, but you can make...
that's lovely.
So you make something, you use the fibers to make something different, but you can't get the same item or like the same value item, if that makes sense. So
yeah, I'm categorizing it as upcycling. Yeah. But that is a nice way of adding another layer to it. So from a t-shirt, you can make maybe a little pouch or something like that.
So in my head, upcycling is more like you make the same level of product or better. But it's, the definitions are also different. Like if you do indeed like go on the internet and search it up, like you're going to get like 4 or 5 different ideas. So,
but I like that. I'm going to add that to my repertoire.
Okay. Yeah. So that's my understanding of it, but it can depend really. So just the idea is you change the item. So
love it.
Yeah.
Recycling, upcycling, downcycling.
Yeah. But on the topic,
there's probably more.
If
there's more, please put it in the comments.
Yes, I will put some extras that I find in the show notes if there are extras. Maybe not too many though, just so you're not overwhelmed. But so yeah, a popular solution that we hear about is to buy secondhand. So I also mentioned earlier that I'm trying to low buy this year, and if I do buy, I buy secondhand. But I also know that there's a lot of problems with the secondhand industry at the moment because it's changing. It's becoming way more popular to buy clothes secondhand. So the secondhand clothing industry is also evolving, and
it's. We have all these secondhand clothes that have to be handled. Yeah. How it's handled isn't perfect, as you said right now. So it's one of the solutions that can help with transitioning to a better solution. So if you are going to buy, it's much better to buy. It's a much better kind of criteria. So it's much better to buy secondhand than something new. But there is other issues of where most, I think, I don't know the number exactly, but it's like 1% of clothes are recycled. So most of it ends up in incinerated or in the trash somewhere, or else they're being sent to other countries and being dumped there for their secondhand market. And most of it isn't usable. So then they end up being trash and going into the waterways as well. So there's a lot of bigger issues with secondhand. It's not the ultimate solution, but it is a solution that could be a potential solution if all the other problems, because it's the problem is scale. It's indeed. The numbers are just so huge. The best options is your closet first and really looking there. But if you are going to buy your 5 items, could be secondhand is your better solution.
I think there's also like just on the exporting, there's a massive like dumping site that you can see from outer space already. I don't know where it is.
In Chile.
Yes, yeah. So you can literally see like just all the clothing dumped in one spot, and
it's Chile's Atacama Desert.
Okay, yeah. So I think it's really insane that we've gotten to a point where you can see it from outer space. I think that says a lot.
Yeah. So to add to your point, it's the Cantamanto market in Ghana. Also, there's intense amounts of waste there as well.
Yeah. Back to the out of sight, out of mind, because most of it is coming from Europe, actually. So.
And the OR Foundation. It's a very interesting organization working to solve this problem.
Okay.
So it's something to check out.
Okay. Yeah. And what do they do?
They work around raising awareness on this issue, and they are trying to build a viable business in the market, in the Cantamanto market.
All right. Okay. That's super cool. I'll definitely also link it in the show notes. Lots of links again in this episode that you need to look at. So just as the final question, if someone listens to this episode and only takes away one thing, what would you hope it would be?
Yeah, the one thing I hope people take away is that we all have the power to change the system. Small acts of activism, like choosing to buy less, repairing what we have, and supporting local sustainable brands can really shift the market towards an eco-friendly, ethical future. It's about changing our mindset and making really wise decisions and choices. And it's really about making these choices will make an impact on the forest and biodiversity. So the most important thing that people should remember is their choices is very powerful. Because when you make one choice, it impacts the market. So if I'm like a company who wants to make profit, I will go to where the market is. So if the market is saying we want better solutions, we want secondhand upcycling, new systems of design with perfect upcycling, downcycling, recycling systems, they will shift their attention to this. So your choice matters. It's a really powerful thing to know that every choice you make really can shift the whole world. One person making the right choice will shift the whole world.
Yeah, wow, what a powerful message to leave our listeners with. So, yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was lovely.